Texas Congressman Pat Fallon joining me now. Congressman, California's Governor Gavin Newsom, he's asked for nearly $40 billion for Los Angeles wildfire relief. Will you approve $40 billion, no strings?
Well, first of all, Stuart, we have to help California, but that's the $40 billion. That figure that you just mentioned is the one they came up with. So we're going to take a hard look at how much is actually needed. If it's 40, okay. If it's 30, okay. However, they also need strings attached because disasters, the ones that are preventable, we need to prevent them. It's that simple. Tornadoes and hurricanes are one thing. When you have a fire, as devastating as it was, could it have been prevented with better management, better forestry management, better prevention? And I think that the answer to that is yes. So if they want those funds, whether it's 40 billion or a smaller amount, they have to agree to implement things that will prevent this in the future.
Next one, Congressman. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, he's meeting with President Trump at the White House. They're discussing proposals to end the war in Ukraine. Listen to what Trump had to say about a deal with Ukraine. Roll it.
We don't get our money back. We get nothing. So we're getting our money back. We're going to get our money back because it's not fair. It's just not fair. And we will see. But I think we're pretty close to a deal, and we better be close to a deal because that has been a horrible situation. It would have never happened if I were president.
I'd just like to say that the meeting Trump, Emmanuel Macron, that takes place later on today. Ukraine's President Zelensky, he seems to have been effectively pushed out of the deal. He doesn't get a say in his own country's peace deal. You okay with that, Congressman?
Well, Stuart, these are preliminary talks, and certainly it's okay for the United States to consult with their major allies, the ones that are in theater as well, being France and Britain, to see where they sit, because we have committed, either spent or committed, $175 billion to Ukraine. And the EU collectively is about little north of $150 billion. So they've been there for Ukraine as well. And we need this, as the president said, to stop. I think Kamala Harris's and Joe Biden's plan was just a continued war of attrition, which doesn't serve anybody's interests at all. So I love the fact that the president is taking bold action. And, a deal's going to have to, for Ukraine, is going to have to give them some security guarantees moving on, because they don't want a 2 or 3 year ceasefire where Putin just comes back in and tries again. That has to be prevented. But at the same time, we've got to stop sending our, $30 and $40 billion a year. Actually, right now it's about $40 billion a year in perpetuity. This has to end.
How do you feel about President Trump wanting to get something out of the deal, like, for example, half of Ukraine's profits from mining and infrastructure? I mean, Trump's taking money back, isn't he? You approve of that?
Well, President Trump also says some very bold and eye-popping statements a lot of the time to get people's attention, and then that's where he starts his negotiation. So what a lot of Americans don't realize, Stuart, is Ukraine has the 4th most natural resources of any nation state in the world. So they have tremendous potential. That's the key, potential wealth. But they need peace and stability to harness that wealth. And, we're into it for $175 billion. If we get some kind of mineral rights over the course of the next few decades, that's not only going to help the United States, that's going to help Ukraine dramatically moving forward.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth sticking to his guns after his department fired 6 top officials, including the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Listen to this.
Nothing about this is unprecedented. The president deserves to pick his key national security and military advisory team. There are lots of presidents who've made changes, from FDR to Eisenhower to H.W. Bush to Barack Obama, who fired or dismissed hundreds of militaries during his term. There were 6 3- and 4-star generals that were moved into different positions or retired on Friday night, of 160 3- and 4-star generals.
Congressman, you're on the Armed Services Committee. Are you backing this plan, this sweeping change?
100%. And Secretary Hegseth couldn't say it better. I mean, there are, what do you say, 160 3- and 4-star generals. I know there's about 800 total flag officers. That's 800, roughly, admirals and generals. And 6 got dismissed. So it's not exactly the night of the long knives. I mean, the president needs to do and needs to work with the folks that will implement his agenda with enthusiasm. And he is the commander-in-chief of the military, so he has every right to do this. And I think, quite frankly, we're going to be focused more on projecting power and deterring aggression instead of what somebody's freaking pronouns are.
Yeah, point taken, sir. Point taken. Congressman Pat Fallon, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it always. Thank you, sir.